Fair use, fair use.
First-degree intentional on count 1.
And turn it up.
Assault in the first-degree intentional at both counts 2 and 3. And assault in the second-degree intentional on count 4. At this time, the court's intention would be to accept the partial verdict and declare a mistrial on any lesser included charges upon which the jury is unable to reach a verdict. I will note that the note additionally indicates
Fair use.
that after lengthy deliberations, the jury is hopelessly deadlocked on the other charges. So I would give each counsel an opportunity to be heard at this time also.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state would be requesting that the court now at this moment give a Chip Smith charge to the jury. They've been out 2.5 days now, I guess, a little over 11 or 12 hours. There were 25 witnesses that were called in this case. There's a mountain of evidence that needed to be reviewed.
Fair use.
And we went from hopelessly deadlocked after an hour and 45 minutes to now having a partial verdict. So I would submit that perhaps there'd be, if the court was inclined to give that Chip Smith charge, that they could go back and maybe come to a decision on the charges for which they are deadlocked on.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, the defense would object to a Chip Smith at this point. The court has already twice sent them back with essentially a Chip Smith light sort of instruction on the basis of Feliciano. And I think that the jury has indicated now on a number of occasions that they are rather hopelessly deadlocked as to those charges, which they still cannot come to any resolution on. My understanding of the note is simply that giving them another charge is not going to change that, and so we would object.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Hopelessly deadlocked.
Another attempt at the court to ask the jury to continue its deliberations. The court is hereby denying that request on behalf of the state. In keeping with Feliciano, this court has not once, but on 2 occasions, provided a chunkier or a wider Feliciano charge. On day 1 of the jury having this case, the court received a note that it was hopelessly deadlocked on the murder count.
Hey, Street Poet, how are you?
The court, upon agreement with counsel at that point,
Wow.
the jury to continue deliberating. And that time, I instructed the jury to review the evidence, discuss and consider the opinions of other jurors, to explain the views and listen to the views of other jurors, including the majority, to listen to what the minority had to say, as well as the minority to listen to what the majority had to say. Subsequently, on day 2, after about 5 hours of continued deliberations having passed, the jury did send a second note indicating the following: that the jury was deadlocked on murder at count 1, indicating that the jury had reached a verdict at count 2 and count 3 as to assault in the first degree, deadlocked as to lesser included charges, and with respect to the last count, count 4, again indicating a possible verdict as to assault in the second degree, intentional but deadlocked as to the first lesser included charge as well. Once again, that note was discussed with counsel. Once again, upon agreement by counsel, the court extended to the jury another Feliciano type of charge, which included more language than the standard back and deliberate charge. The court once again looked at the jury and instructed the jury to continue deliberating, to review the evidence, see if any evidence was overlooked, make sure that no evidence was misunderstood, and to explain the views and listen to the views of all other jurors. The jurors did continue their deliberations, and they did review some evidence, which we came back on the record to produce for them. So at this point in time, the court is not going to go ahead and give them a third instruction to continue the deliberation.
Wow.
The court is going to accept the verdict.
And just one more thing, if I I may put on the record, Your Honor, with regards to the court's intent on declaring a mistrial on the remaining charges that do exist, the state's intent would be, if that were the case, that we would be filing amended information to include those charges.
I don't know when you would be filing that amended information, but we're going to accept the verdict before any amended information is filed.
Wow.
Thank you.
We have a verdict. We're going to take that verdict. Does anyone else have anything else to say?
All right, so they're gonna do the verdict now.
All right, this friend will bring the jury.
She's not sending them back to deliberate again.
Jury walking in, a lot has happened. This judge saying that there's a partial verdict. Let's bring back in Joe Richardson. Joe, what do you think about the prosecution wanting this jury to keep going, that dynamite charge not being read to them?
Right. I mean, they must think that maybe they're in trouble on some of the charges. And of course, they're not all the way there on what they deadlocked on. The Chip Smith basically is something, the Connecticut specific, that says we need to.
They're deadlocked, like hopelessly deadlocked on some of the charges. That's why they're doing this again. But the judge will not be sending them back to deliberate on the charges. So they got some that they got a verdict on and some that they're like, hey, we're deadlocked. So that means they're gonna, it's like a mistrial for those charges. That's why the prosecutor wants to, go and appeal it again. They're gonna appeal it, basically. But with the same charges, so they're gonna find out if they can or cannot. In case y'all didn't understand that part. Hello, welcome in. All right, here's the charges, y'all. I hope you can hear it clearly.
So first, I'd like to inquire as to the four-person case just stand.
Oops, let me take this thing off here.
Mr. Foreperson, I did receive a note that was signed by you, and it was time-stamped as well. The note indicates to the court that the jury, although unable to unanimously agree on some charges, has unanimously agreed as to a verdict.
Hit the like, please. I'd appreciate it.
Count one and manslaughter in the first degree intentional at count one. Also, as to counts 2 and 3, the jury has a verdict on assault in the first degree intentional. And then lastly, as to count 4, the jury has reached.
Hey, Amanda.
As to assault in the second degree intentional. Is that?
Please subscribe and like. Thank you.
So at this point in time.
Thank you, Amanda.
To be seated.
Okay, here we go. Here's the verdict.
All right, the court at this point in time is going to move forward with the verdict that you do have relative to.
As you can see,
Charges that you have.
jury has reached partial verdict. The rest of it is they're hopelessly deadlocked.
So Madam Clerk is.
That means they don't have, it's going to be like a mistrial.
Instruction as she accepts that partial.
So listen here.
Okay?
So the judge will not send them back to deliberate, in case y'all didn't know what this was.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury,
Here we go.
your names are called. Please indicate your presence by answering here, rise, and remain standing.
All right, so they're doing that. While they're doing that, let me go ahead and talk about it. So basically, this kid here, he unalived a kid with a knife. I don't know who Stitch is. Okay. Anyway, so basically, they're going to be, they're going to do the verdict now. Hold on, here we go. Wait, no, they're still talking. Yeah, we're waiting for the verdict.
To be read on the record, waiting to see if we do get audio on the tape. Let's go back in.
It's here. James Ford.
All but the foreperson may be seated. Mr. Foreperson, in the case of State of Connecticut.
Here we go.
Raul, Valle, has the jury agreed upon a unanimous verdict as to murder at count 1, manslaughter in the first degree intentional at count 1, assault in the first degree intentional at counts 2 and 3, and assault in the second degree intentional at count 4?
Yes, we have.
Will the defendant, Raul Valle, please rise and face the jury? Do you find the defendant guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
You have to go through it in docket number 8 and oh, it's not already. Sorry.
In docket number AAN CR 22-0189-418T, count 1 of the substitute information charges the defendant, Raul Valle, with the crime of murder in violation of section 53A-54A A of the Connecticut General Statutes. Do you find the defendant guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
As to count 1 of the substitute
Not guilty.
information charging the defendant with the lesser included offense of manslaughter in the first degree intentional in violation of section 53A-55 A 1 of the Connecticut General Statutes, do you find the defendant guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Not guilty again.
Writing in draft reports inquiry to the foreperson at this time. Mr. Foreperson, your note indicated that's exhibit 8.10, or exhibit 10, your note indicated that the jury, after making deliberations, was hopelessly deadlocked on manslaughter in the first degree reckless in violation of Connecticut General Statutes 53A, 55A3 as a lesser included offense at count 1. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so you were unable to reach unanimous verdict as to that particular.
Thank you,
charge.
Amanda.
That's correct.
Madam Clerk, please continue on with count 2.
Count 2 of the substitute information charges the defendant with the crime of assault in the first degree intentional in violation of section 53A-59 A 1 of the Connecticut General Statutes. Do you find the defendant guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Not guilty again.
Mr. Foreperson.
Wow.
Court Exhibit 10, again, the note that was sent to the court, provided to the court and marked, indicates to the court that after making deliberations, the jury is hopelessly deadlocked on the charge of assault in the first degree reckless in violation of 53A-59.
They're deadlocked on other charges, but the ones they've been charging him with so far is not guilty, y'all.
So you were unable to reach a unanimous verdict regarding that particular charge as a lesser included offense.
No, I don't.
That's correct.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, please continue on to count 2.
Count 3
I do not
of the
play
substitute
Fortnite.
Information charges the defendant with the crime of assault in the first degree intentional in violation of section 53A-59 A 1 of the Connecticut General Statutes. Do you find the defendant guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Not guilty again.
Please pause.
Wow.
Person, Exhibit 10, Court Exhibit 10, your note to the court indicates that with respect to assault in the first degree reckless under count 3, after lengthy deliberations, the jury is hopelessly deadlocked on that charge.
Deadlocked again.
Defense. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
And you were unable to reach a unanimous decision as to.
You're a pro?
First degree
Okay.
reckless in violation of Connecticut General Statutes 53A, 59A3 as a lesser included offense under count 3. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Wow.
Please proceed to count 4.
All right, here we go.
Count 4 of the substitute
Count 4.
information charges the defendant with the crime of assault in the second degree intentional in violation of section 53A-60 A 2 of the Connecticut General Statutes. Do you find the defendant guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Not guilty again.
Please pause. Mr. Foreperson, Court Exhibit 10, the note that was forwarded to the court indicates that at count 4, as to assault in the second degree reckless, after lengthy deliberations, the jury was hopelessly deadlocked.
Deadlocked again.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, so is it?
Hello, Mark.
The jury was unable to reach a unanimous decision as to assault the second degree reckless in violation of Connecticut General Statutes, section 53A-60A3 at count.
We have to hit our top of the hour break, but we will talk about this shocking verdict on the other side. Not guilty on murder and manslaughter, hung on the lesser.
So that's it. Not guilty. Hold on one second. Let me turn this thing down. I'm going to put you on the fan while we talk. So, Mark, you know anything about this case? Do you know what happened on here? Did you watch it? Hey, Jen, how you doing? It's not Paul. His name is Raul Valle. No? Okay, so basically, this guy here, when he was 16 years old, he unalived a kid with a weapon, with a sticking, if you know what I mean. I don't want to say the word just in case YouTube doesn't want us to say, take me off the fan. I feel sick. I'm sorry, my bad. My bad. I'll put you back on the TV when it comes back on. Right now we have a human. The fan is a mushroom. No, sorry about that. But the reason I put the fan on is because there's a commercial on. Anyway, so basically this kid unalived a kid with a fight. So basically he said it was defense. But if he was defending himself and his friend, why didn't they just leave? When they saw all these people coming at them, why didn't they just leave? They were in a car, y'all. They were in a car before this happened. They could have just drove off. And if the people wouldn't have left, I would have stayed in the car and called the po-po on them, okay? And then said, hey, look, my friend and I are in a car and there's a bunch of people outside trying to get in my car. That's basically all they have to do. I feel that's what it is. My opinion, my thoughts, right? So that's really messed up. Yeah, it's sad that him and his friend was getting jumped, but the 16-year-old that was unalived didn't do anything. He wasn't even part of the fight. He wasn't even part of it. He was literally standing there and he got unalived. Wasn't even part of it with the just gonna say knife. Okay? So yeah. No, we're not talking about Diddy. If you look at my thumbnail, it is about his name is Raul Valle. They're school kids, like 16-year-olds and 17-year-olds. I believe the guy that was unalived was 17 years old. Had nothing to do with what was going on. They should have just called the cops and this would have never happened. Would you have robots as police or humans? I'd say, see, that's a question. That's a question that I need, and it's in Massachusetts, y'all. So it was Raul Valle versus, Massachusetts, of course, which is the prosecutors. That's where it was at. But yeah, so basically what I think should have happened is he should have got some kind of charge. Because the lesser charges, they got deadlocked. They were deadlocked on the verdict. And then the higher charges was innocent. Like he was not guilty. I don't get it. I really don't get it, y'all. All right, let's see what they got to say about this. This is just crazy to me. This is crazy.
Partial verdict, and it has been read. And here's the partial
Listen.
Murder, not guilty. Manslaughter, not guilty. For the intentional manslaughter, we also have for the next two counts, Ryan Hines and Thomas Connery. These were two who were injured.
Hello, Peach Mama. How are you? Thank you for coming through. Y'all, please subscribe and like. I do all kinds of videos. I am a different niche person. I don't do just one. I'm not niche down. I do different things.
In the assault of first degree charge. Deadlock.
Not guilty. And everything else is deadlock. When they say deadlock, that means that it's like a mistrial and they can go to appeal it. They can appeal it. The verdict can be appealed.
Your Honor, may the verdict be accepted and recorded?
Yes, the verdict shall be accepted.
Yeah, it's a rough case, but
Ladies and gentlemen,
yeah.
the jury, listen to your verdict as it is accepted and recorded.
Unfortunately, God.
As to the first count of the substitute information.
Oh, it's 5 a.m. where you are? Oh, you're in Australia. How are you from Australia? Thank you, Jim. I appreciate you coming. You have a great day at work. I appreciate you being here. But please like and hit the subscribe button. Thank you. I appreciate it.
As to count one of the substitute information charging the defendant with the lesser included offense of manslaughter in the first degree intentional in violation of section 53A-55, paren A, paren 1 of the Connecticut General Statutes, you say the defendant is not guilty. Is that your verdict? As to the second count of the
Yeah.
substitute information charging the defendant with the crime of assault in the first
It is.
degree intentional,
Especially because you don't want to like put somebody in prison for something they didn't do, and then you don't want to not put them in prison for something they did do, right? So it is kind of rough for the jury. 100%. I agree.
as to the third count of the substitute information charging the defendant with the crime of assault in the first degree intentional in violation of section
So we already did this part. So let me mute it. We could just look at it.
Connecticut General Statute.
This is crazy. Like, I've been watching this, and I feel like some of it should have been, even the lesser charges, they should have been, you know, guilty on something, because he did do it. I mean, there's videos and everything out there about this. So he did do it. He said he was just swinging and not watching where he was swinging. He was just swinging it, and then he ended up getting his kid. And yeah, it's intentional. It wasn't like he intentionally tried to unalive this kid, but intentionally he should have gotten charged with something. Jury investigations, well, they can't make mistakes. It should be. Right. Shouldn't be making mistakes. You're right. But sometimes they do make mistakes, right? Because there is some innocent people in prison for something they did not do, because they were either like set up or something like that. So yeah, he's going to basically walk free for now until they appeal some of this mistrial that they're, you know, the where they're hopelessly deadlocked. They can appeal that, because it was an actual verdict on it. They can appeal it. They can go back to court and you know, do a retrial on it. Just like they did with Karen Reed. You know, Karen Reed ended up having a new trial because they didn't have a verdict for her. So they definitely had a retrial for her. So they're probably going to do a retrial for him. They already said they already talked about it. The prosecutor already said that he was going to do it. And the things that they were, you know, the things that they came back with deadlock, he wants to retry. And he can. Yeah, they can. They can. They definitely can take time. Definitely. They're going to put, you know, they're going to let us know. But right now, yeah, he'll probably end up walking out of there. But I don't know if he'll be able to go anywhere or not. But yeah, jury's deadlocked for the lesser included charges. But like the higher charges, he got not guilty all the way around. And the lesser charges, they got deadlocked, meaning they didn't have an answer for it. But I'm hoping, you know, I mean, if he did it, like I said, I'm just going to say allegedly, even though we saw it on video, he did it. He did it. He already said he did it. He even, you know, he actually went up on the, you know, up there, and he was actually questioned up there. So he was up there. He was the defendant who was up there getting questioned by the attorneys, which considered him as a witness, right? He was up there for the defendant, defense side, which is his side, of course. And then the prosecutor questioned him. And a lot of the stuff he was saying was, to me, my opinion, my thoughts on it, is there was guilt in it. Meaning that he did it. He didn't do it intentionally. I know that much. He didn't do it intentionally, but he did it. So he and his friend could have left while they were in that car instead of getting out of the car and fighting with people. Okay? The fight starts one place, and then they kept going, and then they meet them, and they end up going somewhere else. And then you know what this fight was about? Y'all not going to believe what this fight was about. I don't know if you guys read this or even heard about this. The fight was about beer. The friend took the beer from the other people and they got upset, and that's where it started because of beer. And they were underage drinking, y'all. They were underage drinking. That's the part I don't understand. How you could be underage drinking and then you go do some stupid stuff like this. Like, come on. If you can't handle your alcohol, you shouldn't be drinking, period. I mean, even if you, I mean, I'm saying like, even if you can handle it, don't drink because you're underage. You cannot drink. You're not. It's illegal. All right, you guys, but I am about to get off of here. I've been on here for 26 minutes. And let me see what they're going to say. Are they doing something else? Hold on. 1 second. Let me turn this on. So let's see where this goes here.
Attorney Smith, at the end of evidence, at the close of evidence, you moved for a judgment of acquittal on the 4 charged offenses, paying
Hey, D-Truth.
attention to the murder charge at count 1. The defendant has since been acquitted as to all of those charged offenses in the substitute information.
All right, listen.
What is your position relative to the motion for judgment of acquittal on those 4 offenses?
Withdrawn, Your Honor.
So the court's going to hang that for the record. With respect to count 1, manslaughter in the first degree reckless, Connecticut General Statutes, Section 53A, 55A3, count 2 and 3, assault in the first degree reckless, Connecticut General Statutes, Section 53A, 59A3, and count 4, assault in the second degree reckless, Connecticut General Statutes, Section 60A3. After the jury's inability to reach a unanimous verdict, the court would like to memorialize on the record the following. On day 1 of the jury having the case, after about 2 hours of deliberations, the jury sent a note stating that it was hopelessly deadlocked on the murder at count 1. The court, upon agreement of counsel, instructed the jury to continue deliberating.
Yes.
Instructing the jury to review the evidence.
Deadlocked.
Discuss and consider the opinions of other jurors. To explain views and listen to the views of others.
Hit the like, D-Truth. I haven't seen that like change yet. You forgot?
Minority to listen to what the majority had to say. Subsequently, after a total of about 5 hours of deliberations having passed, the jury sent a second note to the court indicating that the jury was deadlocked on murder at count 1, not guilty of first-degree assault intentional, deadlocked on first-degree assault reckless at count 2, with the same indication for count 3 on the same charges, and not guilty, second-degree assault intentional, deadlocked, second-degree assault reckless at count 4. Once again, upon agreement of counsel, the note was disclosed to counsel. Obviously, it was reviewed, it was discussed, and I directed jurors to continue deliberating, instructing the jurors to review the evidence, see if any evidence was overlooked or misunderstood, to explain the views and listen to the views of all other jurors. The jury continued their deliberations into the 3rd day. And now, once again, on this 3rd day, after more than 11.5 hours of deliberations, the court received a note from the jury, now Court Exhibit 10, indicating a partial verdict, and that as to the other charges,
Wow.
lesser included offenses, that after lengthy deliberations, the jury was hopelessly deadlocked. Due to the jury's inability to reach a unanimous verdict, even after extended deliberations,
They're going to definitely appeal this.
manslaughter in the first degree reckless,
They're going to appeal it. Hit the like and please subscribe. Thank you.
Assault in the first degree reckless, Connecticut General Statutes 53A, 59A3 as a lesser included offense at counts 2 and 3, and assault in the second degree reckless, Connecticut General Statutes Section 53A, 60A3. The court, in accordance with the Connecticut Practice Book, Section 4245, and with no objection by counsel. Counsel, do either of you want to object? I know before you indicated you didn't. objecting to a mistrial?
No.
No, Your Honor.
All right. Hereby finds it necessary to declare a mistrial as to those offenses and all other lesser included offenses charged to the jury under counts 2 and 3, to which a verdict was not returned. The court does not take the ordering of a mistrial lightly. The court is not ordering a mistrial simply for the sake of ordering a mistrial.
Wow.
As a matter of convenience. Rather, the court, based on the history of deliberations as cited herein and the notes provided by the jury, finds that the circumstances make it impossible at this point to reach a verdict fairly as to all parties, and as such, with a finding of manifest necessity in accordance with our rules, does enter the order of the mistrial.
So that means they're going to retry him.
I'd also like to take a moment to address everyone. I first would like to address counsel and thank them for their courtesies to the court and to each other during the course of this trial. Also to the family members, the spectators that have been present in this courtroom every single day. I want to thank you for heeding the court's expectations as to courtroom decorum. I know that this was an extremely emotional trial. And I appreciate the conduct that was displayed continuously throughout this process.
This kid hurt three people and unalived one.
Fully satisfied one side or the other.
Pretty good, some pretty bad injuries too. I mean, they weren't, deadly, but they were definitely injuries.
To be a fair process. I also want to indicate that my appreciation to courtroom decorum extends to every single member of the media. I think we've portrayed this matter as fairly as possible in the news, and I think that your courtroom decorum here in following all the rules that were placed on the media by way of court order have been met with professionalism in terms of your business and your duty to your job. So I want to thank you for that. At this time, I'd ask counsel if there are any other matters that the court should take up.
Nothing from the state at this time, Your Honor.
Not from the defense, Your Honor.
Lastly, I would like to address Mr. Valle. Mr. Valle, you too have shown respect to the process in terms of your decorum.
Let's see what he got to say.
Here in the courtroom, you have been acquitted of the 4 charges that were held against you and stated in the substitute information. So at this point in time, I wish you the best of luck moving forward.
Thank you.
Counsel, thank you. Thank you to everyone. Court stands adjourned.
All rise, court's adjourned.
What a win for the defense. Let us know what you think of this verdict. Again, a partial
Win
verdict,
for now.
not guilty on the murder
A win
charge,
for now.
the first-degree manslaughter intentional charge, not guilty on first-degree assault on 2 of the victims, not guilty of assault in the second.
They're gonna definitely do a retrial, y'all.
Victim, and then the
Because them prosecutors do not like to lose, especially when they have proof.
in those, I do not believe that they will be facing recharging him. Julie Janae is here with me. We were just looking at a picture outside
me
that
see.
courtroom. We'll continue to show you as he exits the courtroom and we can see Valle himself. Here we go. Here we see leaving the courthouse. That's his attorney. That's first, followed by the deputies. You see him in that blue suit. You see a gentleman behind him. Must be a family or a friend. Just put an arm on his shoulder, a hand on his shoulder. He is, and Julie and Janae and I are going to break all this down. He is in essence a free man. A free man. 1 death, 4 injuries. I can't even imagine, regardless of what you think of this verdict, I cannot even imagine how those families must be feeling.
Right.
Julie and Janae here with me in studio. Thank you so
Especially
much.
the ones that lost their son.
First of all, what's your reaction? Second of all, do you agree from what the judge said that because those were not in the indictment, he doesn't face charges?
I think it's a possibility, and we've actually seen that happen before. But first, just the reaction to this verdict. Wow. I mean, it comes down to intentional versus...
Wow.
These jurors...
All right, you guys. Thank you for coming through. I appreciate that. And for those that are going to be watching this later, thank you as well. But you guys, look, you ain't got to go home, but you got to get up out of here. See ya. Bye. Thank you, guys. And please subscribe and like. Thank you.